You are listening to A Scary State, and this week we're talking about Christmas and stuff. So, Lauren,
Yes, Kenzie.
let's get scary festively,
Holly and jolly.
but scary.
Merry and bright. Yes, and scary.
I didn't know how to start that
I know you didn't.
because you didn't do a Christmas crime.
I didn't, but it's because I got a really fun book, and I really wanted to go from the book.
The book, Linda. Oh, that's not from anything, but
It could be from Bob's Burgers.
yep, I'm sure at some point someone says the book, Linda, in that show.
But yeah, so I have a scary book of Christmas lore, and I had to.
Okay.
It was calling my name.
Okay.
So I had to. So that's what I did.
I did a crime on Christmas.
Sometimes crimes on Christmas are sad.
Well, typically.
Typically,
a
crimes
crime.
in general are sad.
But
Mine is
we
just
said Christmas crimes.
/ I took it up to my own interpretation
Clearly.
of Christmas lore.
Okay.
Who doesn't want Christmas lore?
I guess that works then because the facts we have today are facts about winter holidays. And it's winter, so that includes,
Many different holidays.
yeah, like stuff that goes to like January and whatnot.
Yeah. And because this comes out on Christmas too, so that's kind of fun.
Yeah. So here are winter holiday facts and Christmas lore and a Christmas crime.
It's just like gifts every day.
A gift that keeps on giving.
Yep. That's the thing.
Gifts every day.
Well, that's like Hanukkah. Okay. Okay, so.
Joke's on you. I did put weed in those brownies.
Oh my God.
I didn't. That was a joke.
Just so we're clear. All right. So originally a Christian holiday marking the birth of Jesus Christ. Okay. Just Christmas.
First up, we have Christmas.
Yep. December 25th. Originally a Christian holiday marking the birth of Jesus Christ. Many customs are borrowed from pre-Christian traditions like Saturnalia and Yule. Christmas trees, wreaths, and stockings are some symbols of Christmas. The star atop many trees symbolizes the Star of Bethlehem. I did not know that. In the Philippines, people celebrate with elaborate lantern festivals. In Iceland, the Yule lads, mischievous figures, leave treats or tricks for children. I almost covered them, but I did not. Roast turkey, ham, gingerbread, fruitcake, and mulled wine are staples in many regions. Have you had mulled wine?
Mm-mm.
I haven't either, and I want to try it. But I heard it's really hard to make.
I would just buy it.
That too. Hanukkah, the dates vary, but it's usually in December. And I think this year it actually starts on Christmas as well, right?
Correct.
So it commemorates the miracle of the oil that lasted 8 days during the rededication of the Second Temple, lighting one additional candle on the menorah each night, saying prayers, and singing songs like Mayas Zur are the rituals. Latkes, which are potato pancakes, and sufganiot are eaten to honor the miracle of the oil. I feel like you should know these things.
You know, Hanukkah isn't actually one of like the high holidays of significant importance in the Jewish religion. It's just that, you know, they were like, oh, Jewish kids are feeling left out around Christmas time. Here's a winter holiday to be inclusive. And it also, look, gives presents. It doesn't actually typically give presents, but it does because it's around Christmas.
Right.
So everyone else who's not Jewish is like, oh my God, Hanukkah, yeah, celebrate inclusion. And all of us are just like, I mean, yeah, but like there's more important ones.
Gotcha.
So religiously speaking.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. The dreidel, a 4-sided spinning top, is a traditional game, with each side bearing a Hebrew letter representing the phrase, a great miracle happened there. I didn't know that either.
I don't know if that's true. I didn't fact check ChatGPT this time, but I don't think that's true because each of the sides signifies like a specific amount
Yeah.
of what you contribute and or take from the
That's
pot.
what I thought, but I don't know enough where I was like, that is so cool.
ChatGPT was, they were right.
Never doubt ChatGPT.
So it's both.
Okay.
It's both and. But nun, gimel, hay, and shin. Nun means you don't get anything. Gimel, you get the whole pot. Hey means you get half of it, and Shin stands for you put one in. And then I guess all together,
a great miracle happened there.
Yes.
Cool.
Something like that. Nes Gudel Haya Shem. I am so sorry to all my Jewish ancestors and brethren and sisterin. I think that was probably a terrible pronunciation.
It sounded good to me.
I didn't go to Hebrew school, so
you have an excuse.
I have an excuse. And I can barely read English, let alone another language.
We all know that, yes.
Yeah.
Then we have Kwanzaa, celebrated December 26th to January 1st. It was established in 1966 by Dr. Malana Karenga to celebrate African American culture and heritage. The Kinara holds 7 candles, each representing one of the 7 principles. Umoja for unity, Kuji Chakalia for self-determination, just to name a few. The celebrations include music, dance, poetry readings, and a communal feast called Karamu on the 6th day. The cultural focus is that it emphasizes family, community, and African traditions, with participants often wearing African-inspired clothing. Diwali, the date...
Apparently it's Diwali.
Diwali.
Something like that.
The dates vary, though it's typically between October and November. So it celebrates the victory of Lord Rama over the demon king Ravana and his return to
Ayodhya.
Ayodhya. His return to Ayodhya.
You sounded just like the lady.
We had nothing else to say.
Oh my God. That was funny. You don't have to say it again. You just keep going.
Oh, my sides hurt.
That was so funny. Okay.
The story varies by region. Some of the rituals are cleaning and decorating homes with rangoli, intricate floor designs made of colored powders, lighting oil lamps, diyas, and offering prayers to Lakshmi, the goddess of wealth. A variety of sweets like laddus, barfi.
That can't be right.
It can't be. So when it said, I was like, wait.
Barfay.
Barfi.
Oh, that shit's so funny. Okay. I swear I didn't put weed in these brownies. Okay.
Okay. All right.
So barfy.
A variety of sweets like laddus, barfi, and savory snacks are shared among friends and family. Diwali is celebrated in many countries with significant Indian populations, including the UK, US, and Malaysia.
Not India?
It has to be.
Well, yes.
Okay. Then we have the winter solstice or Yule, which is October 21st or 22nd.
So happy winter solstice.
Yes, happy winter solstice. It celebrates the rebirth of the sun during the longest night of the year, rooted in ancient pagan traditions. So that means that now we're on the up and up.
Yeah.
Just the longest night of the year was either yesterday or today.
I don't know.
From when we're recording.
We still have to get through January.
That doesn't mean they're long nights. That's just a really depressing month.
Both and.
Yeah. Burning the Yule log, a predecessor of modern Christmas logs, decorating homes with holly and mistletoe, and holding feasts are how you can celebrate the winter solstice. Many Wiccans and pagans mark the solstice with meditation, storytelling, and nature walks. Mulled cider, roasted meats, and hearty stews are also the foods to celebrate. Then we have New Year's Eve and day, so December 31st to January 1st. It's based on the Gregorian calendar. It replaced earlier Roman celebrations like Saturnalia. There are fireworks, countdowns, and resolutions to improve oneself in the coming year. Do you have a resolution, Mackenzie?
No.
Okay.
Do you?
No.
Okay.
Symbolic foods include lentils, wealth in Italy, black-eyed peas and collard greens, good luck in the southern U.S., and soba noodles, longevity in Japan. And then in Scotland, Hogmanay features first footing, visiting neighbors after midnight and singing Auld Lang Syne.
I would be so mad if my neighbors came knocking on my door
At midnight.
at midnight. And, well, actually, I guess if it's on New Year's, then I would probably be awake. So.
You would be awake.
And I'd be drunk and I'd be like, oh my God, that's so great.
Keep singing, please.
Yeah, you're right.
That's why they know when to do it. And we have the Chinese New Year. Dates vary, but it's usually between late January to mid-February. It's based on the lunar calendar, marking the end of winter and the start of the agricultural season. Red is a key color for good fortune. Decorations include couplets, paper lanterns, and dragon motifs. Dumplings, fish, rice cakes, and spring rolls symbolize prosperity, longevity, and unity. The traditions are cleaning homes to sweep away bad luck, offering sacrifices to ancestors, and setting off fireworks to ward off evil spirits. Then we have Las Posadas, which is December 16th to the 24th, a Mexican Catholic tradition reenacting Mary and Joseph's search for lodging. Neighborhood processions feature participants dressed as Mary and Joseph. They go door to door singing carols, asking for shelter. It's kind of fun.
Yeah.
Each evening ends with feasting, piñatas, and prayers. Tamales, yum. Champorado, a hot chocolate-based drink, and buñuelos, fried dough, are popular.
Love it.
Thank you.
No, I meant the food.
Oh. Tamales are one of my favorites. Lori is celebrated on January 13th. It is a Punjabi festival celebrating the harvest of sugarcane and other winter crops. Families gather around bonfires, throw sesame seeds, puffed rice, and popcorn into the flames, and dance to folk songs. Gujuk, Reverie, Sweet Sesame Brittle, and Maki di Ruti, Sarsoon de Sag, is a cornmeal bread with mustard greens. And I really apologize for my pronunciation.
We tried so hard.
We really tried. The significance of this is that it marks the end of winter and welcomes longer days.
Hell yeah, brother.
And then we have Boxing Day, December 26th. This dates back to the Middle Ages in Britain, when the wealthy gave boxes of gifts or donations to servants and the needy. In many countries, it's now a shopping holiday with major sales and sporting events like football or soccer matches.
So they give a shit about Black Friday, but they have Boxing Day?
Right. It's like the same thing. That's like their Black Friday.
Mm.
In Australia and New Zealand, it coincides with cricket matches and beach activities. Wow, a winter holiday that has beach activities. I mean, I get it. Like, it makes sense, but it's just weird to think about, you know?
It's just not fair.
They also have, like, Santa who's wearing a Hawaiian shirt and, like, shorts and stuff.
It's weird that they don't understand the concept of a white Christmas.
Unless they have white sand beaches.
No. That's not the same thing.
I want a white Christmas, though.
Well, it's going to be cold enough you guys could get it.
Yeah, maybe.
It's going to be like in the teens and 20s.
Ugh, that's really cold. I don't ever have to leave my house on Christmas, though. Like, Joe can take Roy out. I can stay inside. He can help, like, bring everything inside when my parents get here.
You're terrible.
He's from Massachusetts. He can handle it. I'm not. I'm from Virginia. The South. I'm a Southern girl.
Sure. Okay.
When we first started dating, his family was like, oh my God, you're dating a Southern girl? And he goes, no.
No.
Not really at all.
Not technically speaking. I'll be in New Orleans and it'll be like in the 60s.
Right. So you definitely won't have a white Christmas.
No, but I'm okay with that.
I know you are.
It's going to be nice and warm.
That will be nice.
I'm so excited.
When you guys leaving again?
Monday.
Oh, fun.
So tomorrow.
Yeah, tomorrow.
Yep.
And how long of a flight is that? That's not too bad, right?
2.5 hours.
Oh, okay.
So a show and some change.
Nice.
Yeah.
Do you have anything good downloaded to watch?
No, I haven't even packed.
Good. We're far ahead here.
Yeah, well, it's okay. It's an evening flight.
Oh, yes, you're good.
So I'm fine.
Well, yeah.
Merry
Christmas, winter, holiday things.
Merry Christmas. Happy New Year.
Merry Christmas.
And everything in between and outside. All the holidays.
All the things.
Every single one for the whole year. Happy to you. And see. What spooky festive tea you pouring, Maurin?
Okay. So, like I said at the beginning, I wanted to cover spooky and scary Christmas and winter lore from around the world. And so I used this fun book called The Scary Book of Christmas Lore by Tim Rayborn. And I have pictures to show you.
Yay.
So would you like, I'm going to show, no. Do you want the picture of each person before the story or after the story?
After.
Okay. So the first tale we have is that of St. Nicholas. So as many people know, St. Nicholas or St. Nick is an alternate name for Santa Claus. The two typically go hand in hand. Well, St. Nick was a real guy. He lived in Asia Minor, which is modern-day Turkey, from 270 CE until December 6th, 343.
Wait.
I know. It took,
Wait.
270 CE,
Okay.
which is like after whatever,
Yeah.
until December 6th, 343. So he died at like the age of 73.
Okay.
Even today, December 6th, his death day is known as St. Nick's feast day. So back when he was alive, he was Nicholas of Bari, a Greek bishop. At this time, the Roman Empire was not yet officially Christian, and a majority of the population was not Christian. And also at the time, Christianity was still a persecuted religion. Not much is known about him during this time, but what is known is that he was just a really nice guy. He was very generous and would secretly give gifts to people. He would also give money to those in need. One of those stories of him giving money to those in need actually helped prevent 3 girls from being forced into prostitution.
Oh my.
So he did this by dropping sacks of gold through their window each night for 3 nights. This would allow their father to afford their dowries, because remember the times. On the 3rd night, the girl's father actually caught St. Nick in the act, but Nick told the father not to tell anyone of this generosity. It was also said that St. Nick performed miracles, such as calming a storming sea while he was sailing to the Holy Land. He is also said to have been able to drive out demons.
Aren't you supposed to perform 3 in order to be sainted?
I don't know. But his most famous story revolves around 3 children and an evil butcher, and this tale comes out of Turkey. So the story goes that one day, 3 kids were out in the fields and lost track of time. They were lost, disoriented, and made their way to a nearby town as night was falling. They were tired, hungry, and lost, so they went up to the first structure they saw that had a light on. Frightened but needing food in a place that wasn't the outdoors, they knocked on the structure's door. When a man answered the door, the children asked if they could come in for some food and for a place to stay for the night. The man all too readily welcomed them inside. Little did the children know that the house they had entered belonged to a butcher. An evil butcher.
A children's butcher.
As the children walked into the house, the butcher took out one of his sharpest knives.
And was going to butcher them.
He killed, butchered, then dismembered the 3 children who wandered fatefully into his home. He placed their body parts in barrels with brine for curing. His intention was to sell the pieces as ham to unwary customers when the curing was finished.
That's gross.
A long time went by. Some accounts say as many as 7 years, but I feel like it had to be much shorter than 7 years. But in this time, Nicholas had learned of the butcher's awful crime, so he went to pay the butcher a visit. When he arrived at the place, he calmly asked the man for some salted meat to eat. The man's face immediately paled. He commanded, St. Nicholas, commanded that the man open his salting barrel, and the man could do nothing but comply. Once the barrel was open, Nicholas...
He's a butcher.
Well, he had to listen because it's like St. Nicholas.
Yeah.
Once the barrel was open, Nicholas made the sign of the cross over it and commanded the children to rise. The 3 dismembered bodies repaired themselves, and the children were brought back to life. It is not
children.
It is not 100% known what happened to the butcher, though some believe that, to pay for his sins, he was forced to walk with Nicholas for the rest of eternity.
Doing what?
Being like his little sidekick, going around with him.
Maybe that's Bernard in the Santa Claus movies.
Maybe. We never get the butcher's name. So here's the picture of St. Nicholas.
Yeah, looks a little intimidating.
A little creepy, yes.
But good overall.
Yeah, he's a good guy.
Yeah.
So next we have The Night Folk, which is a tale out of Germany, Austria, and Switzerland. So Germany, Austria, and Switzerland all intercept at a certain point, so they have like a little point where they all meet. At this intersection, you may catch a macabre glimpse of the Night Folk, also known as the Night Throng, Death Folk, or Death Throng. Sometimes the figures are seen slowly and solemnly marching in all black robes and shrouds. It is a slow procession of lost souls or other beings from beyond the veil. Other times they are only heard. Haunting music is often heard as their procession moves on.
That's funny.
Why?
This is just like, in real life, music is, it's not like the movies. It doesn't just start playing. But like, imagine you're just there. It's quiet except for, normal outdoor noises. And then you hear this music playing. No speaker, no instruments, no nothing. Just as this group of creepy figures walks by, there is music playing.
Well, don't worry. I will explain the music.
Like, that's fucking hilarious.
So it could be anything from pleasant to horrible. So singing to drumming to strange drones. Sometimes the sound is that of rattling bones.
Did you do that on purpose?
The melodies are sweet but strange enough that they entice mortals to follow them. Those who do follow this music are never seen again.
Yeah.
There have been times when the night folk offer to teach new songs and new instrument skills to the unwary, but it is best to say no to any offers from them. Those in the Alpine area are warned of the night folk and are told to always be on the lookout. It is warned to not block their ghostly march. If a building or a house is in the way of their march, one must open the doors on both sides to let them pass through. Not doing so could lead to disaster and ruin to befall the house or its owners.
That's a little high maintenance.
I know. It's like, come on.
Like, if you're going to be a ghostly figure, just fucking walk through a wall. Like, come on.
Most of the time, if the night folk are left alone, they in turn will leave those around them alone. In most places, they are relatively harmless if left alone. They are a sad procession of doomed souls wandering the land for eternity, being denied eternal rest.
Could you imagine laying in bed, sound asleep, all of a sudden you hear the music, and you like sit up, you're like, get the doors!
In some places, especially in Switzerland, if crossed, they can be malevolent. The night folk here proceed without music, and they can bring with them plagues and disasters.
I'd rather have the music.
Yeah, exactly. One legend tells of a man who witnessed the night folk. He heard a bowed instrument start to play, and when he turned to follow the sound, he noticed the procession. He caught sight of Death playing a violin while leading a long crowd of the night or death folk. To his shock, as he was watching, he noticed many of his still alive neighbors in the procession. But nothing could have prepared him for seeing himself at the end. Soon enough, this prophecy came true. One by one, his neighbors died of the plague, all in the order he had seen them in the procession. He was the last one to die.
That's like some Final Destination type shit.
I know. Some warnings are that it is never wise to gaze upon them if you do happen to see them, and take note of the music that accompanies them, as it often predicts the year to come.
Ooh.
Beautiful music means that the coming year will be good, while a cacophony of noise means that it will not be. But for most, they hope to never hear the music and never have to glance at the night folk.
I don't blame them.
All right, here's a picture of them.
They look like Dementors.
They do look like Dementors. We'll have to try to remember to post these pictures.
Well, I was just about to say, you're going to have to take pictures of each of those and send them to me.
Okay. Then I'll keep my bookmarks in.
Yeah.
Okay. I did not look up how to pronounce this one. I think I know, but
Rookie mistake.
well, let me just check. The next creature comes from the Orkney Islands, located off the coast of Scotland. So this one is a terrifying creature, which is why I had to add it to our list of spooky holiday and winter lore.
Naturally.
The Nuckelavee lives in the sea, but it has the...
You just made it so unspooky.
Well, I didn't know that was how it was pronounced beforehand, and I just looked it up. So it has the ability to also roam the land, and the cold months are its favorite because it's the time when it's actually free. So during the summer, the mother of the sea, is a primal force that is able to keep the powers of the ocean in check, but she has no powers during the winter, which is when chaos and evil are able to run free.
Me neither.
During the winter?
Yeah. That's why there's chaos and evil that run free.
Even though during the cold months we don't have the mother to protect the land from the Nuckelavee, we do have the rain, which the creature despises. So it hates rain
too.
and fresh water.
Maybe I'm the Nuckelavee.
So it cannot come ashore when it's raining. The creature is described as man-like,
Okay.
with a single red eye, an enormous mouth, and no skin.
It just sounds misunderstood.
Its muscles and blood are visible,
Ew!
and its sinewy arms hang down to the ground.
Oh, honey, that's the lost cause.
There are also times when it is said to ride a horse-like monster that looks similar, tall, no skin, that whole deal. But there is an even worse description that said that the man-like torso grew out of the back of the horse.
Ew!
And they fused together.
Ew!
One thing that is known to enrage the creature is the smell of burning kelp.
His reflection?
I think he likes how he looks. Orcadians had a practice where they would make glass and soap and fertilizer from drying kelp from the sea. For the glass and soap, they would burn it from the ash. But the Nuckelavee hated the smell. So in retaliation of having to smell this, the creature would send a deadly disease that would kill horses. The locals would also blame failed crops, sick animals, and any bad accident on the creature. But the Orcadians were not able to be intimidated, and they continued to burn the kelp in defiance of the beast.
Hell yeah.
An experience was recorded by the 19th century Orkney folklorist Walter Traill Dennison. He recorded an interview with a man named Thomas, Tammas,
Thomas.
who said he experienced the beast. So it was a dark and moonless night, and Thomas was out late. That is when, off in the distance, he glimpsed a monstrous shape. As it grew closer, he realized with dread that it was the Nuckelavee. He described it as a horse-human hybrid that was skinless, had one eye, and a terrifying air. He knew there was no way he could outrun the beast, but he was able to get away. Only because he got some water from a nearby loch and was able to splash at the creature who hates fresh water.
So it's like a cat.
Yes, yes, the terrifying cat. Thomas then ran and jumped over a river, which the creature couldn't and wouldn't cross. The beast let out an awful howl, mad that it had only been able to grab Thomas's cap.
Ooh.
This is the Nuckelavee.
Ugh!
Terrifying.
That is nasty.
Disgusting. Hence why I wanted to include it.
That's the icky one.
Okay. This one's the fun one.
Okay.
Okay. Then we have the Caraconcolus.
What?
The Caraconcolus.
Okay.
This legend comes out of Turkey. You can think of this creature like a Turkish Krampus.
Okay.
Kind of. So it's dark, hairy, and downright frightening. These creatures appear most during the coldest time of the year in Turkey, the first 10 days of Zemheri, which end up falling sometime between December 22nd and January 21st. I think it's one of those things where it kind of like varies.
Mm-hmm.
The Rakonkolis are related to the Kalakanzari, which are terrifying creatures located in other parts of Turkey and the Balkans, but these ones are usually taller than the other versions. And unlike their Balkan counterparts, they aren't dim-witted or easily placated. They revel in deception, riddles, and mind games, with the main goal of these games to cause harm. How do they do this? They will hide in the dark corners of towns and villages just waiting for someone to walk by. When they do find someone, they will ask that person a question or give them a riddle to solve.
Ooh, fun.
You will want to make sure that you get the riddle correct, because answering incorrectly could result in the Caraconcolus killing you.
That sucks.
And the creature may ask you more than one question, meaning you'd have to answer all of them correctly.
That's not fair.
Because answering just one incorrectly could result in the Caraconcolus striking you dead and moving on to find another victim to ask questions to. But the riddle is even trickier than you might originally think. In order for the answer to be correct, more times than not, it must contain the word black. Makes it tricky. Sometimes it doesn't work that way, but sometimes it does. Sometimes the riddles will lead to double meanings or require careful thought to avoid the trap. So I asked ChatGPT to give me an example of Caraconcolus riddles. So these ones don't have to include the word black, but I'm going to ask you them, and we'll see if you would die.
Okay.
So the double meaning trick question riddle would be, what is something that gets wetter the more it dries?
A towel.
Yes. Good job.
Thanks.
They also like riddles that involve puns or play on words, as they enjoy confusion and wit.
Stop it. Stop. Pause right here, right now. You're telling me that this fearful creature is like, Halt, you must solve this riddle.
Yes, it's like a troll under a bridge or like a sphinx or something.
What gets wet the more it dries? A towel. Dastardly! You got... What the fuck?
All right, you have another one.
Okay.
I am not alive, but I grow. I do not have lungs, but I need air. What am I?
I'm not alive,
But I grow.
but I grow.
I do not have lungs, but I need air.
A balloon.
No. I'll give you one more chance before I strike you dead.
Balloon's a pretty good guess, though.
Yeah.
It grows and needs air.
Yeah.
A pool floaty?
A fire.
Oh,
You would have been struck dead.
yeah.
And lastly, they enjoy...
See, I think I should get a pass because technically my answers weren't wrong.
But a balloon doesn't need air.
In order to grow.
Yeah, in order to grow.
Yeah.
This, it just says it's not alive, but it grows. It needs air. Not to grow. But technically to grow, but that's not what the riddle says.
Okay.
Okay. And lastly,
I think this creature is a bit unfair.
they enjoy puzzle-like riddles. So ones where you have to try to figure out a puzzle.
Okay.
So it's kind of like the same kind of riddle as before. I have keys, but open no locks.
Mhm.
I have space, but no room. What am I?
A keyboard?
No.
Piano.
Yes! A piano. So you would have only been struck dead once.
Yay.
But they don't just like to hide in corners of the town waiting for someone walking by. Sometimes they will wait outside of someone's home and call out to the person in the voice of a friend or family member, hoping to lure the inhabitant out. They can even shapeshift to look like the person that the voice belongs to. If the person does open the door, their Caraconcolus will lure them out and place them in a hypnotized trance.
So you know the benefit of knowing your friends really well is knowing that it's a trap, because I'm like, none of my fucking friends would ever do that.
Keep that in mind, because I get to a part like that.
Because any of you knocking outside anyone's door in the middle of the night.
Instead of just saying, hi, I'm here.
Right. Like, not calling, like, no.
Right.
No one's got time for that.
So once they've placed you in this trance, they will just leave the person outside in the elements during the coldest days of the year.
That's not nice.
In the snow and winters of Turkey, this could be a death sentence.
See, that's the other thing. None of my friends like the cold, so none of us are getting our happy asses out there to freaking lure you out with a riddle. Like, it's just not going to happen.
This one, they don't lure you out with a riddle. They use your friend and family's voices to get you to come outside.
But
Like
see,
to check to see why.
that's the other thing. My friends know me well enough to know that my ass is not coming outside in the cold.
Right.
So if they're asking me to come outside thinking I'm generally going to come outside, I'm like, you're not my friend.
You're a Caracancolas.
Exactly.
So many people are warned to be careful answering their door during the winter unless they know for 100% fact who is on the other side.
I feel like these days, though, too, I mean, and maybe this is just more of like an American thing, maybe, you know, or an us thing, but very rarely do people just knock on your door anymore.
Right.
You know, especially like if you've been in an apartment for a while.
You knocked on my door.
I know, but like this is different because you're like in a townhouse, but especially like in apartments where you're like in a building,
Mm-hmm.
no one knocks on the door because usually you can't get into the building unless you live there.
Right.
And we're not neighborly.
Maybe that's a way to outsmart their Caracancolas.
That's why we don't have it here in America. We're unneighborly.
So this monster is known to be genuinely evil at heart and takes delight in causing harm during the winter months.
Yeah, but it comes up with pretty good riddles.
So this is the Caracancolas.
Oh, well, there's 3 different things there.
Okay, that is because they are closely related to the Kalakantzari,
Okay.
which are also from Turkey, but I think we're going to go with this ugly looking dude right there. This one where my thumb is pointing.
He's got a little belly.
Oh, he does. Oh my goodness. Mackenzie body shaming the Caracancolas.
I'm not body shaming. I'm just pointing it out that it makes him just kind of cuddly looking.
It is kind of cuddly looking. So then that brings us nicely into winter werewolves.
Ooh.
So no one knows the fear that werewolves...
not friends if friend-shaped.
So everyone knows the fear that werewolves bring. How someone could transform by the light of the moon and turn into a bloodthirsty beast who doesn't differentiate who it kills.
Did you see the moon the other day? It looked like it was like a half-eaten thing.
I did not, but that sounds really cool. So this fear plagued the small villages of Europe, so much so that in some areas it was considered dangerous to even say the word wolf between Christmas and Epiphany, which is January 6th. January 6th means something different to us.
That's not a common word that shows up, I feel like often.
No.
And maybe this was a then problem.
I
Maybe,
think it was a more than problem.
Wolves were, like, imagine you have to play, like, fucking charades to warn your friend, hey, don't go into those woods because there's a WOLF out there. And
I like how you more, instead of spelling it, you're like, we have to play charades to figure out what this animal is.
Ooh, don't go.
And we can also say it as much as we want because it's not Christmas yet.
Oh.
So people were afraid that by doing so, by saying this word, they could summon them or any of their many lycanthropic counterparts.
Lycanthropin?
Lycanthropic. Like, it's the word for like wolves and stuff. Lycanthropy. Are you looking it up?
I don't know what this word means. And
it's like wolves and stuff. Like, it means like the wolves, that kind of like genre of animals, like species of animals.
Oh, so it's the thing that is like the werewolf thingy.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Got it.
So many people just thought that it was safer to never even say the word wolf during the month of December at all. So they just never said it at all.
X-nay on the wolf-ay.
In Germany, Italy, and Romania, there was a traditional folk belief that if someone was unfortunate enough to be born on Christmas Day, especially at the stroke of midnight, that they had a high risk of becoming a werewolf later in life. The belief was because only Jesus was supposed to be born on that day, and no one else should be born on that day.
Well.
And obviously, no one has control for the most part.
I also say the same thing about my birthday.
But so for the most part, no one has control over when someone is born. But to reduce the risk of being born on Christmas, people should remain abstinent at Easter time. So if
what a hell of a time, too.
I know. So if you remain abstinent on Easter, then there will be no babies on Christmas.
Well, everyone's real excited that he has risen. In more ways than one.
Speaking of, Mackenzie,
That took you a second.
I know. And I was like, oh my God. We got to put Jesus's head on our Christmas log again this year. We talked about it last year.
So many different ways that you could have gone with, speaking of.
Nope, Jesus's head.
Okay.
The, upper head.
I was just about to say. Which one?
We posted a picture last year. I think it might have been a story. I don't think it was an actual post, but...
Of your Jesus head Christmas log.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, we can post it again. As for when these werewolves appear, St. Lucy Day, which is December 13th, was a likely time for them to appear, regardless of if there was a full moon or not.
Ooh, and this year there was a Friday the 13th.
I know! That's what I thought about too!
Would have been a prime time for them.
I know. As early as 1555, werewolves were showing up in Europe, mainly in Lithuania and Prussia, to have their own celebrations. On the Feast of the Nativity of Christ, at night, the men who could also transform into werewolves would all get together as wolves. They would then terrorize humans and any domesticated animals. If they came upon a house in the woods, they would break down the doors and devour all human beings and animals found inside.
See, I'm all for guys' night, but like, come on.
They would then burst into the beer cellars and empty any tins of beer or mead. They would then pile the empty casks on like one above another in the middle of the cellar, thus showing their difference from natural and genuine wolves.
With the amount of beer that they drink.
To show that we're wolves, but we're human wolves because we can stack these barrels on top of each other. Other wolves would just kill and leave. But we stack these, so you know that
So
this
we're
was killed.
sophisticated.
Yeah, more to say, normal wolves didn't do this. Us human
The
wolves
werewolves
did.
did.
The werewolves. This is one late medieval Baltic legend. So there was a boy with a lame leg. I don't know why that has anything to do with the story. It doesn't.
Well, I'm sure. Does it mean he can't get away?
It literally means nothing going forward.
Tiny Tim.
So, so he would summon the devil's followers to a holiday meeting. This meeting was not optional, though. If anyone refused or was late to respond, they would be lashed with an iron whip to get them there.
All he's asking is for people to show up at his party. I don't think
on
that's too hard.
time. At this gathering, everyone would transform into wolves and would go out into the villages to cause mayhem and chaos and ruin the holidays for everyone else.
So, if the Grinch had friends.
If the Grinch had friends. So, that's your holiday werewolf.
He's a big floof star. His face kind of looks like a schnauzer.
How can you see his face? That's the back of his head.
And the back of his head looks like a schnauzer.
The back of your head is ridiculous. Okay, our final one is the Yuki Onna out of Japan. So Yuki Onna translates to snow woman.
Ooh.
She is a winter spirit who's both sorrowful and terrifying, and she might be glimpsed during this cold time of year. She is usually seen more in the second half of January, right around the time when there are New Year celebrations taking place.
Peak seasonal depression.
And yeah, so she's sorrowful, so she comes out at that time.
I get it, girl. I get you.
She will usually appear as a beautiful young woman with long black hair, all dressed in white. She is seen as one with the snow.
Mm.
There are many tales of who she is and how she came to be. One is that she was a young woman who died in a snowstorm. Another said that she was led into a forest where she was murdered.
In a snowstorm?
I don't know. That didn't clarify, but probably. While others say that she originally dwelled among the gods or on the moon. She
In a
came
snowstorm.
potentially. She came down to Earth to experience the world, but somehow got trapped here and now can't leave. Makes sense. So she is now murderous and a vengeful spirit.
Because she got trapped.
I'm gonna punch you in the throat. Don't worry, I have a present for you at the end.
I think it's funny.
Legends of Yuki Onna date back to at least the 15th century, with one acclaimed poet named Soji claiming to have seen her. He said that she was at least 10 feet tall and had completely white skin. When he tried to talk to her, she vanished. Stories of her are usually a warning to all who venture out into the cold nights of Japan winters.
Don't go out in a snowstorm.
Exactly. Especially the snowstorms. But sometimes sightings of her aren't for violent reasons. Sometimes she is seen asking for water. If she is given cold water, she will grow in size. But if she is given hot water, she evaporates. So like sort of Alice in Wonderland vibes. What?
What do you mean Alice in Wonderland vibes?
If she gets cold water, she grows. So like if Alice eats one half of the mushroom, she grows.
Mm.
But Alice doesn't evaporate, but she does shrink if she eats the other side of the mushroom.
Yeah, so it's odd.
That's why I said kind of like.
And that's why I was confused.
There was another tale of her asking to be let into an older man's house so that she could warm up. The homeowner, seeing a young woman out in the snow all alone, yes, in the snow, allowed her to come inside to warm up. She stayed for a bit, then went to leave, but when the man tried to stop her, but I don't think in a bad way, I think more of a like, stay here because there's a storm outside way.
Stay. Baby, it's cold outside.
He took hold of her hand and it was ice cold. She then transformed into a burst of snow and drifted up the chimney. But she can also be vengeful and mean. So there are times when she appears with a child. She will then ask someone if they can give the child a hug.
That's weird.
I know. If they do, the child and the hugger will become covered in snow and ice and the hugger will freeze to death.
Why would you give a random child, a hug?
Right. You can get the police called on you that way.
This is why like these like old legends don't work today, because people are just so much more skeptical.
I know. But if they refuse to hug the child, Yuki Ono will shove them over the edge of the nearest hill where they will plunge to their death.
So either way, you're fucked.
You can't win. You literally cannot win.
Might as well just not hug the child.
I don't know. It's like, would you rather be frozen to death or die from impact on the ground falling off a cliff?
Frozen.
Yeah, exactly. So hug the child. So there are other times when she actively tries to seek out a victim by haunting the woods and forests.
It's not good to look desperate.
When someone comes along, she will attack and then freeze them. She then sucks out their psyche, SEIKI, or essence, from their mouths and leaves behind a frozen husk. Children have especially desirable whatever this thing is, apparently. Sometimes she will even rip the liver out of her victims, but she prefers the method of death, like to freeze them to death.
I don't think she'd want my liver.
I think you'd be safe. In those woods, while hunting for a victim, she will sometimes call out to the traveler. If they answer her, she attacks. But on the other hand, a different legend warns that if she calls out to you and ignore her, then she will attack. So again, either way, you can't win.
When those stories where it's like, oh, they'll call out your name, that kind of thing. I'm like, I think I'd be okay, because people will call out my name and I hear it and I'm like, that can't possibly be me. And I ignore them.
But if you're all alone traveling in the woods by yourself and
then
you hear Mackenzie,
I'm definitely like, that cannot be me.
There must be another in the woods.
Someone else, because it certainly can't be me. I don't know a single soul out here.
So the best form of advice is to just stay home when it's snowing at night in Japan.
I think that's a great advice for everyone around the world. Just stay at home.
Okay. So.
Yes.
I have a scary winter story for you.
I have no doubt.
And because you were late today, this is your punishment as well.
10 minutes. The closest I've ever been.
We usually start at 12:30.
No, you...
Because I knew you would not be leaving your house at 12:30.
You said arrival. I arrived very close to the time I was going to be supposed to be here.
Okay, our usual agreed upon time was not the time you got here.
No, but you also put a emoji in there, and I sensed the sarcasm, so I figured you knew damn well I wasn't going to be here at 12:30.
I did. That's why I called you beforehand, because I was like, this is going to be the one day when Mackenzie's like actually at my house at 12:30. So
I saw that text, I'd be like, I'm fine.
So our mutual friend was like, just call her. Just see if you can stay later at work with me. And I was like, I bet you anything she hasn't even left yet. So I called. Yep. Okay. So this one is called The Whispering Snow.
I brought you brownies.
They were so good.
All right then.
Not weed covered, but so good.
I don't think I should be as punished.
You're not. That's why I'm reading you a scary story. So it was the kind of winter evening that seemed like it belonged in a ghost story. Snowflakes drifted in the cold air, swirling like tiny icy spirits. The trees, barren and black, stood like silent sentinels, their branches heavy with frost. Mackenzie and Lauren were driving through the remote countryside.
Already false.
Heading back from their weekend getaway in a secluded cabin they rented in the mountains.
Again.
This is so false because you are so brave.
I was going to say, this is why I don't get as scared, because I'm like, all of this is so unlike me that I'm like, it could never be possible.
The next time I write a story, I'm going to have to be very specific. Mackenzie is very scared of everything, hates scary movies. Please make that her character.
Yes, you honestly should, because I don't know who this girl is. Not me.
Well, but so far, we just went to a nice cabin in the woods.
Again, no.
You've been to cabins in the woods.
With large groups of people.
Maybe we were with a large group of people. Their laughter echoed through the car.
We wouldn't be driving at night in the snow. Both of us are nervous as fuck, and we'd never do that.
I didn't say it was nighttime.
I thought it was dark.
No. I never said that it was dark. The trees were barren and black. Okay.
I figured that meant dark.
Gonna keep going. So, their laughter echoed through the car, still bubbling from the fun they'd had earlier. But as they neared the final stretch of the winding road, the radio...
we had like a girls' weekend.
Oh. The radio began to crackle with static, which I was like, we don't listen to the radio.
We don't listen to the radio.
We're the only people who like each other's music. Mackenzie reached over to adjust the dial, but nothing came through except a soft, eerie whisper.
God, did you not ask it to be like pertinent to 2024?
No. Did you hear that? Lauren asked, her voice wavering with uncertainty. Mackenzie laughed it off. It's just interference. Old radios do that. But then the whisper returned, louder this time. It wasn't a voice, but a strange guttural murmur that seemed to come from all around them. Mackenzie's grip tightened on the wheel as she sped up, but the whispers persisted.
Already it's a bad idea that I'm driving.
Yeah. Filling the car with an oppressive, unnatural chill. Oh, also, this is your nickname that they give you. I don't like this, Mac.
Oh!
Lauren said, her voice barely
Mac?
whispered. I know, it's really gross.
I'm so far removed from this story.
All right, fine. Rewind. I don't like this, Kenzie, Lauren said.
No, vibe is already ruined.
Her voice barely a whisper. The headlights cut through the snowy night, illuminating the road ahead. But suddenly...
Snowy night!
Well, now, I didn't say that at the beginning. But suddenly, the beam of light flickered. Mackenzie slammed the brakes and the car skidded, coming to a stop. The trees lining the road, which had seemed so distant just moments ago, loomed far too close, their branches bending as it reached down to trap them.
Yeah, so stop.
Let's just turn around and head back to the cabin. I don't care if it's a little late, Lauren urged, her anxiety rising. But before Mackenzie could respond, something in the distance caught her eye. A figure standing among the trees, just beyond the reach of the headlights. A figure dressed in white with a face obscured by a heavy scarf, though the outline of dark eyes could be seen peering out. Who the hell is that? Kenzie muttered, her breath catching in her throat.
Did it actually say Kenzie or did it say fucking Mac?
It said Mackenzie.
Okay.
Lauren was staring at the figure now too, her body frozen in terror. Is that a person? Without thinking, Mackenzie slammed the gear shift into reverse, her foot pressing the gas pedal as she backed the car quickly.
See, that sounds like me.
The figure stood motionless, not moving a single inch, just watching them. The car slid and jerked as the tire struggled against the snow, but suddenly the figure moved. It was fast, too fast, as it darted from one tree to the next. It seemed to glide, moving unnaturally smoothly through the cold air. The car's lights flickered again, and Mackenzie's heart raced in panic. Go, go, Lauren shouted. Mackenzie's hand shook, gripping the wheel harder. She glanced in the rearview mirror, but the figure was gone. The road ahead stretched out, quiet, serene, and untouched by the chaos.
Am I still going backwards?
I don't know what we're doing right now. But the whispering had returned, louder and more insistent now, as though 1,000 voices were speaking in unison from the snow itself. Then Lauren saw it, standing right behind Mackenzie's seat in the mirror. A face, pale, almost sickly, with lips twisted and...
No, not the mirror. Not the mirror.
Eyes black and empty. The figure from the trees was now inside the car.
Oh, no.
Kenzie, Lauren screamed, turning to her friend, but Mackenzie's eyes were wide, locked forward, her hand still tightly gripped on the steering wheel. She wasn't responding. Mackenzie?
She was dead.
Look at me. The snowstorm outside intensified and the world around them turned into a blur of white. The roads were disappearing, the trees bending in unnatural ways. Lauren grabbed the door handle, but it wouldn't open. She shook Mackenzie, her friend's body stiff as a board, unresponsive. Finally, the car lurched forward, jerking violently. The wind howled louder and the snow whipped against the windows, blurring everything. Mackenzie slowly turned her head. Her eyes glazed over, her lips moving but no sound coming out.
I was hoping they'd be like dark sockets of nothing.
Dark voidness. Then, as if some invisible force took hold, Mackenzie opened the door and stepped out into the freezing cold. Lauren reached out to stop her, but the figure, no longer even trying to be human, dragged her away from the car deep into the snow-covered forest.
Bye, buddy. I hope you find your dad.
Lauren screamed, but her voice was swallowed up by the howling winds. The whispers filled her ears, telling her she was too late, that Mackenzie was already gone. The world around her began to fade into darkness as the figure, now unmistakably, undeniably evil, watched, waiting. The car's engine sputtered and died. The wind howled again, but this time it wasn't just the snowstorm that made the sound. It was the voices of the lost, forever wandering the cold, cursed to never find their way back. And Mackenzie, she had joined them.
All because I was 10 minutes late. You killed me.
All because you were 10 minutes late.
You killed my character. Wow.
Next time, because I'll do one for New Year's. I'm sorry if people hate them. I just think they're so fun. I will have to make sure I really specify who you are.
And I think that these stories should end in success.
No, because I put horror stories into ChatGPT. They're not going to end in success. No one wants them to end in success.
I do.
I don't. That takes the fun away.
You're not the one who died.
Yeah, that's what I wasn't.
You should kill yourself in the next one.
No. Only if ChatGPT wants me to.
Well, if we're speaking it into existence, and I'm sure it's listening, you know what to do.
So yeah,
get the spirit that took me. Oh, here we go. What a second revival. You go back to the cabin. You're honoring my death.
Oh, of course.
Celebration of life. You get to live your life, leaving me to be a spirit of the snow. The worst possible thing
fate
that could ever happen to me.
Yes.
I'm mad because you left me.
Naturally, you become a vengeful spirit. Yep.
So I come back and
Do you become a Yuka Onna?
No, I make you think I'm me. I'm alive.
Oh.
I survived and I got out.
Oh.
Prisoner of war. And then, just when I get you to finally trust, maybe this is her, I eat you.
And then we do this podcast from beyond the grave.
And then we're both stuck. And I'm
Beyond the
like, ha!
beyond. Oh, but don't be together.
Yeah.
And then you'd still forever be mad of the fact that I
Like,
let you
remember
die.
that time
That you let me
fucking
die?
let me get dragged into the winter woods by a winter ghost? Never forget that one. Thanks, bestie.
Oh, together in this life and in the next.
Yeah, only because I'm like, if I'm going down, you're coming with me.
And then I eat you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And we get an Academy Award.
And then we'll be the next Christmas lore edition too.
It'd be perfect.
But yeah, Christmas, scary, spooky things.
St. Nick wasn't too bad.
No, I started us off nice.
Yeah.
But
Happy
in full
ending.
force. Happy ending.
Yeah, he brought the kids back to life.
Oh, yeah. His story. I thought you meant the whole story. I was like, no, we ended on a ghost who like kills people by freezing them to death.
Oh, yeah. No.
Yeah.
And like, that's truly the worst way for me to go.
Freezing to death?
I hate the snow. I like the look of snow. I like the vibe of snow.
Ooh, it snowed on Friday when we were at work, and my coworker
I
was like,
know.
can we just go outside and just like feel the snow on our faces?
Do you know why that was so terrible?
Why?
Because it wasn't enough to stick and be fun.
Oh, yeah.
It just made things wet. You know what happens when things get wet outside? Children can't go play on it.
Mm.
And then you have to have indoor recess, which truly, if you want to punish anybody, make them have indoor recess with elementary school students that haven't been able to go outside in 3 days.
Mm.
Or the Friday before winter break.
I'm an adult, so I was allowed to go out when I wanted to.
Well, we actually were having some of the kids watch Harry Potter, so they were very well enthused.
I would love that.
Yes.
Is Harry Potter a Christmas movie?
I think it can be.
It is an any time of year movie.
I think it can be watched at Christmas and have a Christmassy vibe, and watched at Halloween and have a Halloweeny vibe, and then just watched any other time when you feel like it.
And give you just like a nostalgic happy vibe.
Right.
Yes. Okay, good. Glad we're on the same
It
page
falls
there.
into multiple categories.
Yes, it does.
So,
Nightmare Before Christmas.
both.
Okay. What do you think more? If you had to put it in one category. Like you're at
Christmas.
Blockbuster and you have to put it in a holiday section.
More Christmas.
Really? I think Halloween.
No, because it's like more Christmas focused.
Mm.
Because it's like Halloween's done.
Mm.
So it's like
I see your point. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. I like it.
Die Hard.
No.
Yes.
No.
Yes. It's literally Christmas the whole fucking time in that movie.
Christmas time.
Yippee-ki-yay, motherfucker. That is a Christmas movie.
Okay.
That is a Christmas movie.
You should put a poll on our Instagram and ask.
All right, if I remember.
You're not gonna.
No.
I won't either. Until I'm editing this. I'm like, oh, hey.
Yeah, I am going to have to do that early because I'm going to be not here.
Nolans.
Yeah, so I won't remember because I'll have done it like recently.
Good.
So you need to do it later to remind me.
Okay.
And this will also be your reminder to not only remind me to do that, because then when you remind me to do that, I'll put a reminder on my phone to do it.
Mhm.
And this is your reminder to take pictures of those things and send it to me.
Yes.
And
Okay.
a picture of also the book too.
Okay.
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 Cool.
All right, Mackenzie, because I guess you followed the rules. What Christmas crime do you have?
In this episode, I will be delving into the chilling case of Ed and Minnie Maurin, a beloved elderly couple whose tragic story shocked their small Washington community. What began as a quiet Christmas season in 1985 turned into a decades-long mystery filled with shocking twists and the unrelenting pursuit of justice.
Okay.
I will unravel the details of their disappearance and the brutal crime that still haunts many to this day. Ed and Minnie Maurin were a cherished elderly couple from Ethel, Washington, known for their active involvement in the community and their 120-acre Christmas tree farm.
Wow.
Wilhelmina Minnie Maurin was born on Christmas Day in 1901, making her 83 in 1985. Minnie was married to George Hadler before her marriage with Ed. George and Minnie had 4 children together.
Together, they have 4 children.
They had 4 children together. They had 3 boys and a girl. Sadly, George died in 1958, leaving Minnie a young widow. Minnie would eventually meet Ed, and they would get married in 1961. So they were like 50s, 60s.
Okay.
Minnie was particularly engaged in her church activities and had planned to host a luncheon on December 19th, 1985. Ed Maurin was born on June 11th, 1904, making him 81 in 1985. Oh, a lady. Ed was known for his reliability and routine. He was described as someone who never left home without his watch. By 1985, Ed and Minnie had also become grandparents.
Oh.
Majority of the people who lived in the area always got their Christmas tree from the Maurins' Christmas tree farm. Eddie and Minnie were known for their kindness and were very active in their church and community. They would regularly attend and host social gatherings. On December 19th, 1985, Minnie was set to host the monthly women's luncheon for her church. When guests arrived around midday at the Maurin home, no one was there to greet them, which was immediately alarming.
Oh, no.
The door was also locked, which was highly unusual for them. They decided to call the Maurins' children to see if they knew what was going on. Shirley Hadler, who was married to Dennis Hadler, one of Minnie's sons from her first marriage, received a phone call from one of the people attending Minnie's luncheon. The woman told Shirley that there was no one at the Maurins' residence. Finding this unusual, Shirley went to check on the Maurins at their residence, but found the house locked and the car gone.
Oh.
Shirley called Minnie's daughter, Hazel Oberg, that's her married name, who contacted several other people, but no one had seen them. When Hazel and Shirley went through the Maurins' house, they found Minnie's purse still at the house and bank statements laid out all in plain sight.
That does not sound good.
Since all of these things were out of character for the Maurins, Shirley and Hazel called the police. Upon visiting the Maurins' residence, investigators found signs of a hurried departure. Their home was left unlocked, and Minnie's purse sat untouched, still containing cash and personal items, a sign that whatever had happened was both sudden and suspicious.
Wait, the house was unlocked or it was locked?
Oh, sorry, locked.
Okay.
My bad. Which was the unusual part.
Right. Yeah.
Usually it's unlocked.
Which is also unusual in real life.
1985 in Ethel, Washington, though.
Okay, yeah.
About 3 days after the Maurins went missing, Sherry Amell and Mary Jones contacted law enforcement regarding what they saw in the parking lot of Yardbirds on December 19th. This is like, I don't know if it's like specifically a mall or if it's like the name of the shopping center that the mall's in, but it's like a shopping center type area. At midday, the women saw a man walking behind the containers in the Yardbirds parking lot. Both Amell and Jones saw a 20-something dark-haired bearded man wearing a green army jacket, jeans, and a stocking cap, carrying a gun with something white draped around the trigger area of the gun. Amell and Jones met with a forensic artist who drew a composite sketch from their descriptions, and police distributed the composite sketch to the public. Further clues came when the green 1969 Chrysler Newport was found abandoned the next day in that shopping center parking lot.
Okay.
Detective Glade Austin responded to the scene. There was blood found throughout the front of the car and blood dripping down the outside of the passenger side of the car.
Oh, no.
But there were no bodies.
Uh-huh.
Detective Richard Harrington and Washington State Police Patrol crime scene technician processed the car. Many people saw the Maurins' green Chrysler driving around the area and on Bunker Creek Road on December 19th. They described the car's occupants as an older couple with 1 or 2 younger men.
And that was the day that they were supposed to have the luncheon.
Yeah, so like all throughout like the morning.
Okay.
People saw them at different times.
With 2 young men.
Yeah, in their car.
Okay. Like young men as in like 11-year-old boys or young men as in like 19-year-old kids?
Like 20, 30.
Oh, like, okay. Okay.
Yeah, younger man being in his 20s.
Okay.
Yeah. Oh, wait, I didn't read that sentence yet. 2 of the witnesses described the younger man as being in his 20s and wearing a stocking cap and a green army jacket or a trench coat.
There we go.
Yeah.
Is a stocking cap like, what is that?
I feel like it's like a beanie.
Oh. What kind of hat does Frosty have?
A top hat.
But why do I keep thinking stocking hat is something that is sung?
So like, I don't know.
Okay. It's just my own thing then. Okay. So like, yeah, like a beanie.
Yeah.
Okay.
If we're going old school, it's like, the nightcap thing that
Scrooge wears.
Correct. But I'm thinking it's a beanie.
Probably.
On December 20th, detectives contacted Nona Pierce, the Maurins' neighbor. Pierce gave a recorded statement regarding the headlights that she saw in the Maurins' driveway on the morning of December 19th. Pierce saw a strange car near Eddie and Minnie's driveway and thought that Ed and Minnie might need help when the car pulled into the driveway. I don't know how she went from thinking they needed help to maybe they're fine, but she said that she heard voices and assumed everything was fine.
Okay.
On December 22nd, she called back and she said that she needed to report something that happened 2 weeks prior to the Maurins going missing.
And we're also recording on December 22nd.
Ooh. The police report stated that Pierce had reported on that day that an older red Ford pickup followed her home. So this was like the 18th of December.
Well, if it was 2 weeks before the 22nd.
Yeah, 2 weeks prior to the 22nd.
Yes, then it would be way before the 18th. It'd be like the 8th.
Something like that.
Okay.
One said December 18th, but this said 2 weeks.
Okay.
Sometime before.
Sometime beforehand. Okay.
Sometime beforehand. The Pierce described the driver of the pickup as 6 feet tall, approximately 30 years old, 170 to 75 pounds, with dark hair and a mustache. She only saw the man that one time. So supposedly she sees this car with this guy in it follow her home.
Creepy.
Yeah. Police also discovered that around 9:30 a.m. on the morning of the 19th, Patricia Hall, an employee of Sterling Savings Association, received a phone call from Ed informing her that he wanted to withdraw $8,500 in cash from his bank account. When Ed arrived at Sterling, Hall asked Ed to have a seat and to wait for a cash courier. Hall gave $8,500 cash to Ed, and then he left. Despite their efforts, the investigation took a devastating turn on Christmas Eve. A passing driver found the Maurins' bodies on the side of the rural road. Detective Harrington Austin and Frank Bennett all responded to the scene. An autopsy confirmed that the Maurins had been shot with a sawed-off 12-gauge shotgun loaded with double-aught buckshot. I don't know what that means.
I don't know what that means either. I just know buckshots like kind of go, like they explode.
Harrington said there was a large amount of blood on the front seat and on the passenger side door. In addition to blood, he testified shotgun pellets were also found on the floor of the sedan. Based on the analysis of the blood spatter inside the vehicle, as well as the autopsy photos, it appeared that the elderly couple died after they were shot in the back. Roger Eli.
So were they shot in their car that was found in that parking lot and then their bodies were moved? Okay.
Yeah. Roger Eli, who worked as a crime scene technician for the Washington State Patrol in December 1985, and assisted detectives from the sheriff's office in processing the vehicle for evidence. While the crime scene technician said he could not tell who was shot and killed first, it appeared that the shooter was sitting directly behind Ed Maurin, who was in the driver's seat at the time of his death. The shooter likely had the barrel of the shotgun placed on the top of the bench seat, inches away from the middle of the 81-year-old's back. Based on the bloodstains in the vehicle, Eli testified Ed likely slumped to his right onto his 83-year-old wife after he was shot.
That's sad.
Eli said that due to the trajectory of the shotgun pellets, as well as autopsy photos of Minnie Maurin's wounds, it looks like she was fatally shot in her left shoulder and then slumped to her right onto the door. The shooter was likely sitting in the same position in the vehicle when the Maurins were each shot. When investigators found the elderly couple's body in Adna days later, it was apparent someone had pulled the couple from their car and dragged both bodies off the road and dumped them in the brush.
So where they were found wasn't far from where their car was found?
I have no idea.
Okay.
I mean, they weren't found until days later, so.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Okay.
The community was shaken as law enforcement scoured the area, conducting interviews and following leads. Ethel residents who recognized the man from the composite sketch were too afraid to come forward because they feared repercussions. It would later be discovered that many people believed it was Rick Rife and John Gregory Rife, or Greg. So when I say Rife, I'm referring to Rick.
Okay.
Greg will be Greg.
Okay.
So just for clarity.
Like, oh, Rick Rife, why would you? Why?
Huh?
Why would your parents name you Rick if your last name was going to be Rife? So you're Rick Rife.
We knew a John Johnson.
We did.
So
we did.
Yeah.
And I think that's a really common name because I was like reading this one article at work one day and it was like the worst names people have been named. And one of the people was like, please don't name your child anything like John Johnson or Sean Johnson. And I was like, oh my God, I guess John Johnson is a very common name.
Or he's well known.
Or he's well known. One or the other.
One or the other. So the two men were brothers and had lived in Lewis County, Washington, near Ethel. About 2 weeks after the Maurins' bodies were discovered, two residents, Jerry Nixon and Gary Newberry, witnessed Greg threatening Jason Shiver, who had seen Rife and Greg with the Maurins on December 19th. So that's why they were like, oh, I'm too afraid because I saw them threatening this other guy.
And who was Jason?
He was just a witness
that
had seen them.
Okay.
And Greg had threatened this guy, I'm assuming because he had witnessed them. So others were like, I don't want to say anything.
Yeah.
Because scary dude.
Right, absolutely.
Dennis Hadler, Minnie's son and a former Lewis County commissioner, had been persistent in seeking justice for his parents. He offered a $10,000 reward for information leading to an arrest and hired private investigators to assist in the case. At his mother's funeral, Hadler vowed to never give up on finding the perpetrators. With little physical evidence and no immediate suspects, the case quickly grew cold. Investigators believed the motive to be robbery, but the brutality of the crime and the lack of clear leads left both authorities and the community searching for answers. So they pretty much had an idea, but they didn't have enough for that.
To like go after it.
Yeah. So it's kind of like one of those things, they knew who it was and they were like always going to be the prime suspects, but they didn't ever have enough to go after them.
Yep.
And the two men in like 1987 moved to Alaska.
Of all the places to move, you choose Alaska. Well, I guess if you're in Washington.
Yeah.
Alaska's pretty like not right there, but like right there.
Much closer than we would think in our heads.
If we said we're going to Alaska, people would be like, what the hell?
That's crazy.
If you're in Washington, you're like, I'm going to go to Alaska. It's like, okay, that kind of tracks.
Right, exactly. But I get what you're saying.
Yeah.
Initially, you're like, what? And you're like, okay.
It's like if you want to go somewhere to disappear off the grid, you're going to go to Alaska.
Yeah. See, I feel like for us, it'd be like Maine or New Hampshire or something like that.
Yeah.
The Northeast.
Mm-hmm.
Or the Midwest.
Yeah. I think I'd rather go to the Northeast.
Same.
Yeah.
The investigation into the Moran's homicide continued, but the case did stall between 1987 and 1991. So it was a cold case, but throughout like the next couple of decades, there's like up and down with people working on it.
Mm-hmm.
But it was slow to get the witness statements and all that kind of stuff. So it's some of it's going to be in order, some of it's like not going to be in order. Because I was like taking from different places.
Mm-hmm.
So if you get questions, let me know.
Okay.
Because I don't know if some of this stuff was stuff they figured out in the initial investigation or as they went.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah.
Okay.
In the early 1990s, Detective David Nesser contacted Robin Reif by phone, who had been married to Rick Reif in the 1980s. Robin was actually in prison in Arizona at the time. I do not know why.
And that's the wife?
Former wife. I don't think they were still married at this point.
Okay.
But this detective calls her because they were married in the 80s. When Detective Nesser identified himself and explained that he needed to speak with her about an old homicide that had occurred in Lewis County, Robin immediately replied with, "You mean the one where the two old people were killed?"
Interesting.
Authorities discovered that in 1986, Reif began dating Kathy Thola. On one occasion in 1986 or 1987, Thola and Reif had an argument about her leaving him. And when Nola threatened to leave Reif, Greg responded saying, "We've killed once, we can kill again."
Oh.
And Reif had smiled and nodded and snickered and said, yeah.
And people wonder why some women can't leave relationships.
Mm-hmm.
Ew, that's so scary.
Yeah. In February 1992, Lewis County detectives assisted the Alaska State Troopers and went to Alaska to interview Reif. So this was after the conversation with his ex-wife.
Mm-hmm.
Reif voluntarily gave an interview and provided police with his fingerprints, palm prints, and a hair sample.
Oh, wow.
Reif said he had been living in Alaska since the summer of 1990 and admitted that he did cut down a 12-gauge shotgun for this guy named George, who supposedly either gave him the shotgun or something along those lines. But George is not really relevant except for...
Okay, so George gave the shotgun to Reif and asked him, can you saw this down?
Yes. But then there's also another statement that says that, like, George wanted the gun. I don't know. I think it sounded like George was, like, the guy you go to when you want to saw down a shotgun.
Oh, George is the guy you go to.
I guess. I don't know.
Okay.
He was just a neighbor.
Okay.
Nothing very specific.
But so the gun was in the possession of Rick Reif.
Supposedly.
Okay.
Ideally, it's like, oh, I got this from my friend George.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm assuming he's like, but I don't have it anymore.
Right. Okay.
So, yeah.
Yeah. Picking up what you're putting down.
Reif said that he had got the shotgun for a couple weeks and he fired it using a double-aught buckshot that he got from a friend. Reif stated that he used to have a green Army fatigue jacket and that Greg probably also had one, but denied that either he or Greg were involved in the Marin's murder. Detectives also interviewed Greg, who was also living in Alaska. Alaska State Troopers assisted Lewis County Sheriff's Office in serving a warrant and obtaining Greg's fingerprints and hair sample. Greg initially denied killing the Marins, but then he said, "I don't know. I need to think about it." And he began
I need to think about it.
and he began to cry and terminated the interview.
You could ask me if I killed anyone, like a random name. I would never have to think about it because I've never killed anyone. So you can say, have you killed? And my answer will immediately be no, regardless of what your next person, like the next thing you say is.
Right.
Not I need to think about it.
Right. In 2005, Lewis County Sheriff's Detective Bruce Kenzie took over the Maurin homicide case investigation. So this is like over 10 years later.
Mm-hmm.
During his investigation, Kenzie interviewed witnesses who identified either Rife or Greg from photo montages shown to them. So at this point, witnesses were like, okay, yeah, when I say this is the person I saw, out of these ones that I see, this is him.
Okay.
So like at this point, more and more people start coming forward of like, yeah, these are the guys that I did see.
Okay.
So then by June of 2012, Detective Kenzie contacted Pierce, who provided him with another recorded statement of what she saw and heard on December 19th, 1985. That's the neighbor.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
And identified Rife as the man who had followed her home and approached her at her house
Ooh.
sometime prior to their disappearance.
Right. Maybe 2 weeks, maybe 2 days.
Whatever.
Unclear.
After requesting a warrant to arrest Rife and Greg, Detective Kenzie found out that Greg had died.
Of course he had.
Kenzie obtained arrest warrant for Rife, though, and did arrest him, like Rick. The arrest of Rick Rife marked a significant development in one of Lewis County's most notorious unsolved murder cases, bringing hope for justice to the Maurin family after more than 2 decades.
Wow.
After Rife's arrest, more witnesses began coming forward. Erwin Barlett, who spent time with Rife in Lewis County Jail, also came forward as a witness. According to Barlett, Rife admitted to him that he had killed 2 elderly people. Rife never told Barlett who helped him in the murders. On July 6, 2012, the state charged Rife with first-degree murder, counts 1 and 2, first-degree kidnapping, counts 3 and 4, first-degree robbery, counts 5 and 6, and first-degree burglary, count 7. So on 7 counts. Yeah. So it is an inconclusion, but I have like some information on some of the things that people testified.
Okay.
Just because I thought it was interesting. He did try, a lot of the information I got from like this appeals that he tried to get, it was denied.
Yeah.
So, but anyway, so the trial took place in October and November of 2013. I've been turning 18.
Oh.
Mm-hmm.
Aw.
No, that's not true. I would have been turning 19.
Yeah, I was going to say, I'm not going to fact check it. I don't think 18 sounds right.
19.
Yep, 19.
90 witnesses
Wow.
testified about the events on December 19th and 20th, 1985, and many identified Rife and Greg. So these people are like talking about, you know, they drove past their house and they saw them with 2 men,
Mm-hmm.
you know, getting into this car. The woman at the bank was like, she didn't really see if Ed seemed like distressed by any means, but like when she's like, oh, you should have like Minnie come in, he was like, no, she's sick, like whatever. And then a bunch of people like that were near the shopping center all either talk about directly seeing either Greg or Rick
Mm-hmm.
in some variation or like a description of them. There's even one lady who like, I think it's Greg is like a regular of hers for whatever she does. And so she definitely knows that she saw him.
Right. Like that's a really strong one.
Right. And like a bunch of people saw them driving around in the Maurin's car with them.
Mm-hmm.
And there's even one like police officer who saw the car with the brothers in it at some point driving around or something like that.
Right.
So a lot of people were like, yeah, seen them. Several of those witnesses personally knew Ed and Minnie and testified to seeing Rife and Greg driving around town with the Maurins on December 19th and 20th, including the trip to the bank and other suspicious activity. Prior to the presentation of photos of the vehicle, Rick Rife's defense attorney objected to showing the jury any evidence involving the car. He argued to Superior Court Judge Richard Brosey, who was presiding over the trial, that the evidence should not be presented as the car had since been destroyed, which means the defense was unable to analyze it for evidence that may have excluded his client as a suspect.
Interesting.
Brosey disagreed with Crowley, saying the pieces of the car, such as the seats and the door, had been preserved. The car had been destroyed years prior, as investigators had no way of preserving the car, as it was already 16 years old at the time of the murder.
Oh my gosh.
So you can imagine.
Yeah.
But they kept the pieces that were needed.
Okay.
I think he also Like, he was denied having some sort of expert person come in, like, and discredit witness statements. These photos, the inmate who testified against him was being offered a plea deal.
For information.
And supposedly he was also like, it'll be worse if you don't.
If you don't give us the information?
Yeah.
Ugh.
So, but apparently that still was like, yeah, that's fine. I don't know. The case description goes into detail as to why.
Okay.
So, actually, what does shot batate?
What?
ChatGPT.
Oh.
Here we go.
Shot the GPT.
I know I did that so wrong. Oh, the court just denied the mistrial and found no evidence of his rights being violated.
Okay.
Oh, here we go. I have all the things. So he sought to include expert testimony from this doctor about eyewitnesses. They excluded this testimony, reasoning it would not assist the jury.
Oh.
And then the appellate court also upheld this decision, finding the jury capable of evaluating the reliability of eyewitnesses on their own.
Okay.
2 composite sketches were created from witness descriptions in 1985 that were admitted into evidence, and he argued that these sketches were prejudicial and suggested guilt. And the court determined that the sketches were relevant and not unduly prejudicial. I don't think I'm saying that word
Prejudicial?
right. Prejudicial? I don't know. Witness testimony that identified Rife's brother Greg made incriminating statements implying involvement in the murders. The court ruled this as an adoptive admission since Rife did not refute the statements suggesting tactic agreement. Rife's ex-wife asked law enforcement if they had found the gun, which the court interpreted as evidence of Rife's awareness of the crime and its implications.
I mean,
The appellate court upheld the trial court's decision to allow the statement, finding it relevant to the case. He sought to challenge the witness's credibility by using prior inconsistent statements. The trial court limited this questioning, finding it improper, and the appellate court agreed that there was no error. Failed to disclose a witness plea agreement, which he argued violated his due process rights. The court was like, no, your rights weren't violated. He also alleged misconduct by the prosecution along with cumulative errors during trial. The appellate court rejected these claims, concluding that Rife received a fair trial overall. So basically, the Washington Court of Appeals affirmed Rife's conviction, systematically addressing and dismissing his claims of error, ultimately supporting the trial court's ruling, which was guilty on all counts and sentenced to 1,234 months in prison.
it doesn't sound like it sounds like they had evidence, but it sounds like they didn't have a lot of evidence. You know what I mean?
It was definitely circumstantial.
Yeah.
Because it was mostly off of witness testimony.
Witnesses.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Because they never found the gun.
Right. And did they ever find like DNA of the guys in the car or near the couple or anything?
It didn't say.
Yeah, feels very circumstantial.
Yeah. But I guess enough witnesses. I mean, 90 people.
That is a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it didn't, or at least from what I found, I was hoping it would go into like the money aspect, but it didn't really.
Right. Yeah.
But I think
like taking that much out in cash is a lot of money.
Well, so obviously they were well known in the community. So it was known that they had this business. But apparently their son also had a really successful, like, I think it was like a logging business or something like that in the area. So like overall successful people.
Right.
And I think the 8,500 or whatever was like their life savings. Like I think that's all they had.
Oh, wow.
And I'm assuming with the bank statements, that was like the proof, I guess. So,
dang.
Yeah. So let's see, 1,234. Let's see how many years that is.
And that's how many
months.
Months. Okay. Yes, let's see how many years. It's been 84 years.
102.
That doesn't sound like a lot. But I mean, you're going to die. Like, you're not going to make it out of your sentence. So I guess that's good then.
Yeah.
Do you ever wonder, okay.
If that when someone dies and they have like.
Yes.
And I hope to God it is upheld.
Okay. That's what I hope too.
Like, I don't care what religion you practice or believe in, but I think most of us can agree that if someone gets like a life sentence plus 30 years.
Well, they say like a life sentence is a certain amount of time.
Yeah.
So it's not like your life. Like it's a
No,
certain
I
amount of
know.
years. So hopefully it would be like, life sentence, say, is 127 years. And then you also get 30 years added on top of that. You die after 27. Hopefully you're still serving like 130 years.
Right. I was going to say, like, then
of afterlife years.
There's people that also get, like, 110 years.
Yeah.
And so it's like whenever you cap out in real life, you still got to finish that.
I would hope so.
Afterlife.
And I hope it's in like a really awful place like purgatory or something.
Yeah.
Well, I'm glad the case was solved. Well, more or less solved.
Yeah. I mean, I think there is a good chance based on, I understand that witness testimony can be notoriously unreliable, but I also feel like when you have a lot of people.
When you have that many.
Right.
Yeah.
You have that many people.
But it still makes me think like, yeah, everyone could have seen them together, but what if they left and then someone else came and did it? I know that's very unlikely, but
I don't think they run in the same circles.
Who?
I think the Reif brothers needed money for something.
Yeah.
And figured that the Maurins would have it.
Yeah. But maybe they didn't kill him. Maybe someone else came afterwards and just happened to be really poor timing.
I don't know if they're walking with like no face coverings on and just going around town.
Right.
I also am like, did they do it because it's a small town and they knew who they were? Because it seemed like the witnesses knew who these guys were, but didn't want to say anything.
Right.
Like these were bad dudes.
Right.
Known for doing bad stuff.
I don't know.
So it's interesting though. I wonder when they actually came back to the parking lot and killed them.
And then dragged them.
Right. No way did they do that during the day.
No.
So, but yeah.
Well, glad it's been solved.
It has been solved. Another Christmas crime.
Another Christmas crime.
So I read one that it was one of those stories that I was like, well, that is going to just be too short to write about.
Mm-hmm.
But it happened over in Annandale.
Oh.
And they had found remains of this woman, unidentifiable. And there was also like a note too that was like, don't perform an autopsy. Here's the money to cremate me. Like, I did this, whatever. So for like, I want to say 60 years. I could be wrong. Maybe it's 30, but I want to say 60 years.
Yeah.
No idea who this woman was until DNA finally matched her. But I don't think she had any living family at the time. And when she died, I think she had no living family at the time, or at least not close family.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's wild.
Yeah.
I think I would still have to perform an autopsy.
They might have.
Because, like, that's super suspicious if you're like, don't perform an autopsy and just go ahead and cremate me.
I don't think they found any sort of...
like foul play or anything?
Yeah, like I don't think they found strangulation or anything like that.
Huh.
So...
wild.
Yeah.
Wild.
But, I mean, I'm pretty sure... from what it seemed like, everyone was pretty sure she actually did take her own life. I think they still investigated it just to make sure.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm sure even on this supposed note, she, like supposedly, the woman wrote, I am responsible for this. Don't autopsy me. Here's the money for my cremation. And she signs it, Jane Doe.
Oh, wow.
So.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, hopefully these propel you on your way as you have your Christmas day.
No one said it was a happy state.
Yeah.
Scary.
A scary state.
Scary state. Are we going to do New Year's crimes?
We'll do a New Year's episode, but I think I did find a crime. I was going to do it for another state that we had because it's just like an interesting like title of the murder. But when I looked at the state, she bopped around to a couple states and I was like, I can't pin her down for this one. But I saw the date and I was like, ooh, I could save this for New Year. So I think that's what I'm going to do. So mine will be a crime.
Maybe I'll try to find I don't know what I'm going to try to find. I don't know. I don't know.
See if you can find a crime of someone dressed up as Baby New Year's committing a crime.
That is so fucking specific.
I know.
Did you find one like that?
No, but I'm wondering if it's a thing.
Okay.
Like you could find like a ton of dumb criminals because those are always so fun.
That's true.
Mm-hmm.
Making people really be reflective on their actions going into the new year. Yeah, maybe I'll do that for the state facts or something.
Oh, that would be fun.
Yeah.
That would be fun.
And then after that, we have, I want to say 5
Yeah, a couple states and then we're done
Mm,
with round 3.
maybe 6 if with DC.
Something like
I
that.
think it's like 5 states plus DC or something like that.
And then we'll be into round 4.
Round 4.
I know. And people kept asking, what happens when you finish a state? And I said, there's more than 2 scary things in each state. And look at that, proving it right because we're going to be in round 4.
Yeah. It's just that some of the states that are less populated, it's going to be
It's starting to get a little tricky.
It's going to be more crime than it is going to be haunted.
Yep, because there are not many haunted places anymore.
You know, things don't become newly haunted.
I mean, people are always talking about, like, why do you always see people in Victorian clothes and not, like, a Gucci tracksuit?
Fair question.
Mm-hmm.
Very fair question.
Mm-hmm.
So happy holidays, whatever you celebrate.
Yes, happy holidays.
Be safe if you're traveling.
Mm-hmm.
Enjoy time with whoever makes you happy.
Whoever you are spending time with.
And
So stay scary.
stay jolly.
Oh.
And safe.
Oh.